From the heart of Georgetown, Guyana, comes a story of unparalleled resilience and determination. Carlotta Cora and Eversley Gabrielle's journey from a nursing assistant to a dedicated nurse with a master's degree is nothing short of extraordinary. Her unwavering faith and perseverance have guided her through personal traumas and adversities, including the heart-wrenching loss of a child. In I Rise, Carlotta shares her profound life story, bringing authenticity and a deep sense of compassion to every page. Through her unique experiences, she illuminates themes of faith, struggle, perseverance, and the profound impact of grace in her life. Carlotta's narrative is not just about surviving hardships, but thriving through them, turning pain into purpose. As a nurse, Carlotta has dedicated her life to caring for others, embodying compassion and empathy in her work. She has been a beacon of hope and a source of strength for many, leading by example and inspiring those around her. Her story reflects her commitment to positive change, demonstrating how one person's journey can uplift and empower others. I Rise is more than a memoir. It is a heartfelt journey that touches hearts, inspires minds, and uplifts spirits. Carlotta's legacy is one of hope and inspiration, reminding us that within every struggle lies the potential for transformation and strength. Her words encourage readers to find their inner resilience and to believe in the power of grace and perseverance. Discover the transformative power within every struggle, and let Carlotta Gabrielle's story remind you that strength and grace lie within us all. Through her story, Carlotta seeks to motivate, empower, and encourage, proving that no matter the challenges we face, we have the ability to rise above them and create a legacy of hope and inspiration.
That have to bear the condensation that will bring out of you what you need to be because of what comes with it.
Welcome to the conversation where words have power to unite us all. Are you passionate about literature? Do you find solace and inspiration within the pages of a book? Then we invite you to join our global community of readers in our Conversation Book Club. Whether you're in Guyana or anywhere else in the world, our book club offers a space of meaningful dialogue, discovery, and connection. Together, we explore the depths of storytelling, share insight, and celebrate the beauty of diverse perspectives. Led by Pastor Seon Rodney and Pastor J.D. Prasad, our book club fosters an environment of respect, empathy, and understanding. They invite you to join them on this enriching journey. To become a part of our vibrant community, simply reach out to Pastor Seon Rodney at 678-770-0430. or Pastor J.D. Prasad at 592-662-9844. Let's embark on a shared adventure through the world of literature, because in the Conversation Book Club, every voice matters.
This program is being sponsored by Conversational Merchandise Cravings. Visit us at conversationalmerchandisecravings.com. Purchase your cups, mugs, hats, hoodies, and much more. Conversationalmerchandisecravings.com.
Good night, each and everyone. Welcome to the conversation.
Can't hear you.
Seon Gregory Gomes Rodney. You hear me?
Now I can. You cut out for a second.
Yes, welcome to the Conversation Motivational Hour with yours truly, SGGR, Pastor Seon Gregory Gomes Rodney. I have with me is no other than my co-host, Miss Peggy Beneby. Miss Peggy, I always said the first time you are a invitee, you are a visitor, And I want to tell you, after the 5 minutes, you are family. So now you're not adopted, but you are a part of the family. So I'm saying tonight, let's welcome family Penny Beneby as part of the conversation. The second to none. I want to tell you, I want this august platform. I always said the Walmart of social media. The Conversational Motivational Hour, the Conversation Motivational Date Night, the Conversation Zero to Hero TV family, the Conversation Small Business Community, the Conversation Together We Will Rise Ministry. And I want to let you know our love language is simply value. We believe in the reciprocal nature of value. We value you and you value us. And together, our tribe, our community, and our village, we value each other. That is simply our love language. With that being said, Miss Peggy, once again, thank you for gracing us with your presence, gracing us with your expertise, and bringing to us the nuggets that we can able to change someone's trajectory. They said repetition brings revelation. So with that being said, tonight, I know repetitiously we're going to go over some things that some people probably heard before, but they didn't capture the revelation, because transformation can never comes without a revelation. A revelation, what brings the transformation? What is a revelation? Is the revealed thing. The revealed thing how to do. The revealed things come with how you know. So therefore, tonight we'll help you to have not an enlightenment, but give you the resources that you can be resourceful in first changing yourself. Changing what? Your modus operandi. Changing your concept, your thought processes. Enrich your human real estate. So tonight you'll have a little more emotional intelligence, financial intelligence, and you'll able to leave here 10 toes down. I'm ready to change my world. And when you change your world, you'll be able to change the worlds of others. We're preparing you tonight that you will move from a mentee to becoming a mentor. So with that being said, once again, thank you, Miss Peggy, all the way in New York City. Oh yes, the city I once was a recipient of, but now I am in Atlanta, Georgia. I normally say where God lives, because I want to let you know He's a consuming fire. And that's why we didn't say Atlanta. It's extremely hot. So God live here, and He answered the world's question. But does being a little bit humor there tonight. God live all over. With that being said, Miss Penny, once again, thank you for the time off from your platform, your busy schedule, from your family, from all you had on your to-do list, but you shelve it just to be with us tonight, that we can able to work together in tandems. We can be 10 toes down, hands in glove, be in sync tonight. That I believe sometimes if we change one tree, we have the old forest. So with that being said, Ms. Peggy, I would like you to introduce yourself once again. For many who have not come into contact with you, but a few that know you, they will be more au fait with you, and then we take it from there tonight.
Thank you for having me. And you are preaching tonight. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful welcome. That was fire. That was fire. So as you said, my name is Peggy Beneby, and I am in New York, actually about 40 minutes outside of the city, but it's all the same. I grew up in the Bronx, those of you who know, right? And I'm happy to be on the conversation again. I feel like, yes, we are definitely family. We've done this a couple of times, and I'm getting more and more comfortable with these type of platforms and being live. So for those of you who don't know me, my background was in education. So I went to school to be a teacher. I was an English teacher for many, many years. And then I made a transition. I pivoted into financial services for a lot of different reasons. My personal finances at the time was a challenge and a struggle. And I learned, figured a lot of things out through trial and error. And then I actually started working with a company that straightened me out. And I said, if you could straighten me out, I'll be happy to work with other people. And that's what I did. And so I became a financial advisor. And so today, you know, my passion is working with my daughter with Smart Money Moves, where we educate people on financial education and financial literacy to help them make smart financial decisions, you know. And what people get and what my desire is for people that are working with me is to not only have financial peace, financial freedom, because they know they have a plan for their money. They know how to make their money grow. And then they, not only that, but they can start thinking about multiple streams of income, because that's something else, right? It's about having some multiple streams of income.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello. Sorry, guys. I was having some technical difficulties. How's everyone doing?
It's okay.
You're amazing. You're right on cue.
Sorry. How y'all doing?
Kathy is rather to be late than to be never.
Yes, amen.
Would have some word salad for me if you didn't turn up, because they would say, man, we're looking to hear from Kathy because she's making her debut here, and we want to hear from her because her picture looks so much she looks like she has so much to offer. They just read from just looking at them. They want to hear verbal to match what was your pictogram on the
I love it.
Posted. So tonight, I know you will not let the viewers down. You'll not let the people down. And I know tonight you're going to spit some game. You're going to run some game on someone that tonight they will no longer having tackles, but they certainly, from Miss Cathy, they're going to make some touchdowns. They're going to make some touchdowns. They stop at many tackles and they never made a touchdown because so many things has come into the play, the available obstacles and so on. But tonight you're going to help them along with Miss Peggy. We're going to work in tandem and help people to understand the different obstacles and oppositions. And you guys being the more expertise than I do, because I just know a little bit, but you guys know the much. You guys were trained, you guys were paid, you guys are certified, you guys went to institutions and so forth. I didn't went thus far in the financial analysis aspect of it, but I would like you tonight, and along with Miss Peggy, as I said, that we're going to help someone to differentiate the opposition and the obstacles. They will come out from a place of financial embarrassment. They will come out from financial turmoil and turbulences. They will move from just always robbing Peter to pay Paul, from paycheck to paycheck, and they're just thinking that I will deal with my future when it arrives when I'm 90 years old, 80 years old, 70 years old, and they cannot do much. My grandma always says something. She said, what rain cannot fool, dew cannot fool. That means when the age is upon you, there's not much you can do when you add the time. So tonight, I would like you to know it's the opportune time that you've graced the conversation platform with your presence. With that being said, Miss Cathy, I would like you to follow the same, which is already done by Miss Peggy, to introduce yourself, and then we take it from there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And I completely agree with you. First of all, I'm Kathy the Closer. I'm an automotive buying expert. I've been in the automotive industry for over 18 years. And what I now have learned is that consumers don't know how to buy cars, and they don't know how to leverage the lowest interest rates, and they don't know how to keep most of their money in their pocket. And we've kind of fallen victim to the American way, I want to call it, that we're supposed to live off of interest and debt. Now, there is such thing as good debt, but there's no such thing as good debt with interest, if that makes sense. So I think that we lose that mindset, and we don't understand that we lose thousands and thousands of hard-earned money. I don't think that anyone, makes their money easily. There's got to be some hardship somewhere in it. So I just feel as though we need to be more cautious, and we need to have the mindset that we need to keep more in our own pockets, and that we're the ones that work hard for it, and that we just need to have a mindset shift and learn these skill sets that will, long-term help us in many, many ways, whether it be building financial freedom, to have, the peace of mind, to even if that be whether to leverage yourself in many ways, a career shift. Some people don't like what they do and they want to do something else. They just don't have the means to start and, do something else. So I feel like when they learn these skill sets, whether it be investing in themselves, whether it be, just financially securing themselves, and there's many, many ways to do so, just by saving, and and skill sets that they can learn along the way. And so that's something that I like to teach, is definitely how to make sure that they're saving money. Because to me, and I was talking to someone today, and we don't realize that, vehicle purchase, automotive purchases are in America are like the top, number 2 biggest purchase that you're going to make. The average American or average, citizen in America, the biggest purchase, number 1 is going to be a home. And number 2 is going to be a car, So when we don't know how to do those things, we don't realize the thousands of dollars long term that we're losing, and that can be, even what Peggy does, investing, and what I teach as well, investing in our own financial freedom and building our own generational wealth, so that our future generations are not stuck in the same, the same struggle that we've been taught is okay and is not okay. So that's where I stand on that.
So I glad where you start your intro into teasing the mind of start investigating. So by concluding, they can be able to make that sober decision regarding their finances.
Absolutely.
That is one of the most important aspects of humanity. Whether 3 questions we're going to surround tonight, and then I hand over to Miss Peggy, and we're going to surround all thoughts tonight in 3 questions. And here goes the 3 question going to be our rule of thought tonight. 1, are you sinking? 2, are you surviving?
Yes.
And 3, are you thriving? That is the 3 question that governs humanity for the entirety of we living or existing on this life or sojourning in this life. We don't like ask ourselves questions. We like answers to other people's questions. But tonight, as we surround the rule of thought, all encompassing financing, we individually should ask ourselves exactly where we pivoted right tonight. Am I pivoted on where I am sinking? Am I pivoting where I'm surviving financially? Am I pivoting where I'm striving? So, Miss Peggy, I hand over to you, and you're going to navigate us, myself and Peggy, from here. You're going to navigate the entire evening surrounding the rule of thought with us, asking ourselves and leaving with that rule of thought. Am I sinking, surviving, or thriving? Miss Peggy.
I love that question because, I've been in each one of those. And I remember when I was sinking. And a lot of it was due to what Kathy was talking about, debt, having bad credit and getting caught up in bad loans, bad car loans, and spending more than I was making, or at least not managing my finances well. Right. And so each one of those things was, you do feel like you're sinking. You feel like you're drowning. And like, you just got to keep pedaling. And I remember my early 20s, and I remember one time I had like 7 W-2s. When I went to the tax guy, his eyes popped out. He was like, "You had this many jobs?" I was like, I needed to pay my car anyhow I could do it. I had part-time jobs, full-time jobs. I was going to school. I was doing everything, because then I was trying to survive, right? And then you get into surviving, right? And right now, 60% or more, roughly between 60 and 65% of America is just surviving. They are just living paycheck to paycheck. And they're just saying, like, if they lose their job or they have an interruption in their pay, they're probably 30 to 60 days away from bankruptcy or losing their house or losing their car, because that's how tight we are. And Kathy said again, too, is like the American dream turned into the American, fake it, keeping up with appearances, And I learned, when I started hanging around some wealthy people, some people that make 6 and 7 figures, they didn't look like they made 6 and 7 figures. It was like you could walk right by them on the street and not know that they were worth millions of dollars. But yet the person that's living paycheck to paycheck is driving around in the BMW and wearing the fancy shoes and going out every night. And it's just like, right, where are we getting our information from? What are we taking our cues from? And we look at this and we say, oh, that guy looks good. He's driving a nice car. He dresses nice. But meanwhile, under the hood, he's financially bankrupt, right? And so that's about surviving. And then there's thriving, right? And what I help people to do is get from that sinking and surviving point, right? And show them how they can thrive, because it is a mentality, right? You got to start from where you stand, take your inventory, but the mindset is the most important thing. And reading books, I'm still reading books, right? And I'm getting as much information as I can, not just about finances, and I do read a lot of financial books and articles and things, but also about mindset, about leadership, about all of these different things, and about other streams of income, right? And I'm taking that all in because all of that helps you to thrive. And you said it, Seon, best. We're not an island. We have to provide value. We have to reach out and lift other people up. We have to share this information. We have to collaborate and be in communities with one another to foster and lift each other up. So all of these things is important. And I'm not sure if that's how you wanted the conversation. I'm not sure if you wanted all those things to be wrapped up at once or taken one at a time. But I saw that as, you know what, that was me. I went from sinking to surviving and now thriving. And my goal is to show other people how they can too thrive. And that's what I love about my friend Kathy and how we started collaborating and what got, because we were like minds. We was thinking the same, you know, and she's like, she's got a specific thing that she helps people with, and she chose them in different types of investing, right? So she talks to people about, you know, I'm showing people about the slow and steady wins the race, you know, investing for the long term in the market. But there are short term plays, right? But whatever play you want to make, you want to make sure it's the right play for you, because not everybody's the same. And that's the other thing, you know, what we get from social media is we see someone says something and we think just because that worked for them, that's supposed to work for us. And everybody's situation is different. So you need to work with somebody that's going to know your specific situation to be able to help you get from sinking, surviving into thriving. And with that being said, I'm going to throw it either back to you, Seon, or over to Kathy to see how she wants to answer those three questions.
Over to you, Miss Caddy.
So for me, you know, a lot of what Miss Peggy said, you know, I also started in, you know, struggle mode. I don't come from a background of financial literacy. My parents migrated over here from Israel, you know. So my father, you know, his idea of financial literacy was, you know, taking the money and going back when Atlantic City was in New Jersey was like happening, the casinos, you know. So most of his money went on alcohol and roulette, you know. So we know how that worked out, not very well. So, you know, in hindsight, I was like, you know, obviously hindsight is 2020. As you get older and you see, you know, you realize these things, and, you know, we see how much, as you both, you know, have said, the cost of living in America is outrageous. It is outrageous. It is now more outrageous than it's ever been in life, guys. Okay. And the problem with that is that we're not making more money for the most part. Most of us aren't, you know, except for, you know, the 1%, right, that figured it out, however, so, you know, on these social media platforms and other ways. So the issue is that the wealth gap is getting so far, right? It's like people are sinking more than they're surviving or thriving right now. So that's the reason why people such as myself, Miss Peggy, and yourself as well, must make it a movement that people understand that it's not a game out here anymore. You must start to learn financial literacy all the way around the board, not just one piece of it, but you need to learn all of it. You need to learn how to save the money. You need to learn how to manage the money. You need to learn how to invest the money. You need to learn how to all these different tactics that will help you save this money financially. It's all knowledge. All it is knowledge. Everyone in every career, they've learned that career through the knowledge of that skill set, right? So it's just a new piece of knowledge that I think people are afraid to learn because they psych themselves out. Always the subconscious mind is more powerful than the conscious mind. But I swear to you, and I've learned on my own as a single mother of 3 kids and sole provider, that without that knowledge, I would not have survived. I would not be I would not be thriving at all right now. I would be buried in debt. I'd be buried in bad debt. I'd be paying high interest loans. I'd be the typical American. And I'm just blessed that I did learn that skill set. And now that I'm able to empower others and share that with others, because it is something very important to learn.
So I love what you say. Being a single mother with 3 children, you're talking about what many people do not do, what you call budgeting. And budgeting speaks the voice of whether you're sinking, you're surviving, or you're thriving.
Absolutely.
Many people cannot answer that question because they cannot begin to budget. Because if they begin to budget, they will not get through finishing budgeting.
Yes.
You see, it's easy to start, but you never win by starting.
Absolutely.
You win by finishing that task. You can only win when you finish budgeting. So that is 1.1. Many people cannot get through the budgeting because by the time they meet halfway through budgeting, they recognize they're sinking.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You never know how bad the situation is until you become analytical of your situation.
Exactly.
A woman in a domestic violence relationship only analyze how worse it is when she gets out of that relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Ms. Peggy, I want you to navigate with us, help people to understand how their situation need to be analyzed, their financial situation. They need to stroke their finances well. They need to start from 1.1 budgeting, how they can begin to budget, because you got to budget from first of having something to start budgeting. So for those who recognize that right now, there are a lot of things that are in the chopping block, real truism, that a lot of things that are on the chopping block in terms of programming, in terms of financing. I was at a program today, launching a program of one woman raised her hand and said, I am donating $5,000. And hearing that, I was in excitement like it's $5 million a year. Because in this time when so many programs are on the chopping block, not too many persons can do that. Help someone tonight, Miss Peggy.
So let's talk about budgeting. I used to struggle in that area, right? So there's 3 key things that I notice when I'm working with people when it comes to budgeting. Number 1, they try to budget on their gross and not their net. Everybody say, I make 100,000, I make 150,000, I make 200,000. But that's your gross. That's not your net. So they're spending money like they make 200,000, but they're only bringing home 175, 160. So I'm just like, okay, now this is why your credit cards are getting maxed out, because you think you make 200,000, but you don't. So number 1, you got to work with what your take home is, not your gross, right? Number 2, I see people, they have goals and dreams. I want people to get their goals and dreams. I want to get my goals and dreams, the house, the new car. And they save up money for that. They come to me and they say, Peggy, I want to save for a car. Okay, how much is the car? We save up the money for the car. But here's the mistake that Peggy made. And I try to warn, especially the younger people, you don't just need money for the car. You need money for the maintenance of the car and the registration and the insurance and the parking tickets and the speeding tickets and all these other things, right? Because I've seen people, they go and they get their car and then they can't afford to fix it when it breaks down. or they get a whole bunch of tickets and then the car's off the road because they can't pay the tickets, and so don't make your dream, your blessing, become your curse, right? That all starts from budgeting. You got to budget for every little thing, right? And then I've seen people, they buy the house of their dreams. They can't afford the furniture. They can't afford to heat it. Right? So these are the things that, we got to consider when we're talking about budgeting. It's not pretty. It's not fun. And so analyze your strengths and your weaknesses. If budgeting is a weakness for you, like it was for me, you got to create a system, right, that works for you and helps you to stay in your budget. And I've done some different strategies with people, whether it's, take out what you think you need for the week and put the rest away and don't look at it, right? So you only have in your hand what you can spend, or is it, some people, they have to have several different pots, so they split their paycheck up and some goes here and some goes there, whatever systems you need, your Excel spreadsheet, create a source of accountability for yourself. But get help with the budget, because you're right. It all starts there. And if there is a hole in your bucket, then you're going to start sinking instead of thriving. That's what I got to say.
So see, now we on the budgeting, Miss Cathy.
Yes.
There is a line item in budgeting when it comes to purchasing an automobile or purchasing a car. So I want us to surround that thought, because in that line item, many people want to know how they can navigate to stay with that budgeting aspect, that will fit their budget. Sorry about that call came in there. But nevertheless, so help us tonight that when they get to that budgeting part of the automobile, that you can help them to make that financial decision.
Well, like Miss Peggy said, it all starts with the mindset of budgeting. And number one, the reason why that is so important is because we always must pay things that report to the credit bureau on time, no matter what. Okay. Now, even if we come up short in other areas, great, we can negotiate payments with the other areas. But things like credit cards, things like, car loans, things like mortgages, any of those things that will report negatively and impact your credit negatively will also decrease your credit score, which is also going to cause you to have to pay a high interest rates, which kills the average American, right? Mm-hmm. So not only, but you also want to be careful of that usage, right? So I've learned, again, as a single mother of 3 kids, I did need to leverage lines of credit to survive. Yeah, I did. I don't always want to keep using my cash, because I also learned that my cash is going to make more money invested into the stock market versus it just being sitting in a bank, or versus it being paid out to car payments. So here's the thing, guys. I really want everyone to understand this, right? As people that work very hard, again, you have to pay yourself first. You have to find a way to pay yourself first. You really have to be smarter than the rest. You have to be smarter than the game. And no matter what it is, if it's $5, $10, $50, I don't know what your income is. And it doesn't matter, because, you just learn new skill sets to grow that. But you really have to learn to keep that limit down, because again, we always want to keep our score above 680, 690 in any field, especially in automotive. And when it comes to mortgages, you definitely want those high and at least 3 lines of positive credit lines available, because you want to be able to leverage these low interest rates. So that's the first thing that you want to make sure, is that when you're buying a vehicle, first and foremost, okay, see what reliable manufacturer, because as Miss Peggy already, stated, and the number one thing that I feel as though consumers feel as well is like, oh, I want to drive that nice car. I want to drive a Beamer. I want to drive a Benz. So do I. But guess what, guys? With that Beamer, that Benz comes a high ticket, even an oil change. I'm not even talking about anything more than that. And they are the highest. JD Power report states they are the highest vehicles to maintain. Okay. Highest price vehicles to maintain. So not only are you paying, and they cost a lot too. So not only are you paying a high note, so when you do go get luxury, I personally always recommend just leasing it. If you're going to get luxury, lease. Now, if you're going to get something on the reliable side, you start going to the Honda, Toyota, of course, buy it. But what you want to do is you want to go to these manufacturers' websites and you want to see what type of special financing are they offering, and they'll offer these special financing every 2 months, every 3 months, holiday time, end of the year time, beginning of the month time. If they made too much of a vehicle and the market for it is not moving like they want it to, they'll start offering incentives off this vehicle. So now you get thousands off the vehicle on top of special financing. So now you're leveraging thousands of dollars right then and there, which you need, right? Because remember, at the end of the day, we need to invest that money back into ourselves, right, into the market, because we want that money to revolve and come back to us. So if you actually save those thousands of dollars versus giving it to a bank versus giving it to a dealership, not having the proper knowledge to keep it in your own pocket, and you invest that money for 5 years in the stock market, you're going to make almost half of that vehicle back. So all you're doing is putting the money back into your pocket, because we always want to remember dealerships are not banks, right? They're not banks. They're not lenders. They do two things and two things only. They sell cars and they fix cars. That's it. It's up to you as a consumer to know how much am I going to buy this car for and how much market research have I done in the area that I live in to know that I'm getting the best price, right? So and I don't want this to be a rush thing. Like
Right.
You don't rush to buy a house. You don't rush to buy a car. These are not rush things. You don't act on emotion when you go out for these things. Like these are life, these are things that are things that are going to impact your financial, well-being in life. So these are things that you definitely want to take time and make sure that you're getting the best deal for yourself financially. And you always want to think about that long-term out-of-pocket cost, not how much is this vehicle costing me today? How much is this vehicle cost me over the time of ownership, whether it be total in interest rates, total in maintaining the vehicle, total in car payments, total in insurance. You want to know all of those things. And then you always want to learn, how can I make that less? The key word is, how can I make that less so I can save more? How do I make everything less so I can save more for me? Not how do I make my lifestyle more? How do I make it less so I can have more for me? So that's my tip to everyone.
Woo!
So, Miss Peggy, with the same rule of thought, because we're dealing with we're still on the budget tonight. I think we spend most night about that tonight. Either you're sinking, for those who are coming in, the question, either you're sinking, either you're surviving, or either you're thriving. It's an individual question, and it's a collective. We are trying to enrich your real estate around that question. And I have on Instagram, Bamboo says, I think folks need to identify the limits to be honest with where they are financially. This is to say their finances will not improve, but you have to be humble. And what you say, in humility, make sure you become a critical thinker of your financial life. Because many people, everything surrounds a casual thought processes, and that is the community, that is the tribe some of us are belongs to, and the everything that surrounds us is to be casually thinking about life. And when you become a critical thinker is when there's not much left to give. And therefore tonight what we're doing, helping people to put on that critical thinking, to be analytical when it comes to your finances. So with that being said, Miss Peggy, that income and expenditure, debt to income ratio, help us tonight that they recognize that over time is an income coming in extra than your regular money. 40 hours, you work 45 hours, that is uncatered money. What about when you catch up with your child support, your backlog, and then you work and you recognize that extra is coming out of your pay surplus, and now you catch up with your child support, you're back on stream, you know the regular is coming out. Help people to understand how they can navigate that aspect, and they can come out of that financial dilemma, financial embarrassment situation.
Okay. So there are tools, right? I have one, I use one. It's called the financial needs analysis. And, there may be others free online. If you have a CFP, or not a CFP, but some other people might charge, for this type of tool. But it's basically a way that you can input all your information, your income, your debt, your maybe the value of your home, any of these things. And, we can figure out your debt to income ratio that way. But as you said, thinking like a business person, right? If you treat your household like a business and you say, well, these are my expenditures, this is what's going out, and this is what's coming in, right? If there's a shortfall, right, then you got to do something, right? And you either got to make more income to cover that shortfall, or you got to do what Kathy was talking about. How can I make it this less so I can have more for me? Right. And I like that way too. Always trying to figure out what is the least. So what are the things that we can cut? Right. And so a lot of times we're paying for things that we don't even know we're paying for. There's these like silent things, you might have watched the movie. I've gotten caught with this more than one. You might have said, oh, I want to watch this show. And it's like they say free trial. And then the next thing you know, you're getting charged $5, $10 month after month, and you forgot all about the trial and the show and everything. So, we put reminders on our calendar, cancel this free trial, or just, cancel it right away. But that's, again, taking that inventory. So sometimes it helps to have someone work with you through that and go through. But I've seen advertisements for apps that will do it for you, and figure out where your money is going. And if you're not using that thing, get rid of it. If you got a gym membership and you're not going, get rid of it, right? Anything that's weighing you down, that's unnecessary, get rid of it, especially now, because as Kathy said, incomes are not going up, but the cost of everything else has, and the cost of school has risen exponentially to, and that's what a lot of people like that. Well, I have to get that education, right? And then they're graduating with a mortgage, and so that's affecting their debt to income ratio because they haven't even started getting income yet, right? So now you're starting out in the hole, the negative. You're already sinking before you get your first job. And we're telling people, that's okay. We're so proud of you. You magna cum laude, $200,000 in debt. Go you. So again, I love the way Kathy put it, because I started looking at, I don't want to know what the monthly amount is. I want to know what this thing costs, right? When you walk into that dealership or whatever, they're like, well, how much per month you want to spend? No. How much does this thing cost? Forget about how much per month. I'll decide how much per month. You tell me what the cost is. Yes. I want to know what the overall cost is, because a lot of times you find that you wouldn't have made that purchase if you knew how much it really would have cost you.
Absolutely.
Or you might have dug down and said, I'll come back with the extra $5,000, in a month or two, so that I'm not going to be deeper in debt and owing more on this vehicle or, this car than the things that are worth. So it's all about that, when it comes to the budgeting and debt to income. But a lot of times, if you need help with that, which most people do, right? Because we go to school, we study. I was an English teacher. I didn't know anything about those things, right? So I had to go to someone who knew about those things. So it's okay to get help, right? And have someone help you and walk you through those things. But find out about where to find those tools. I'll get you a free one. If you need, you can reach out to me.
And one of the things we have to do is like I tell people, if you work overtime, is on catered money. Do not put your overtime money as a part of your regular budgeting for the week. If you are in backlog of child support, now you caught up with your fee and a level plateau. Increase your amount in your 401k and let that extra money that were coming out of your check from child support go into your 401k or go into your RA Roth account, because you're already accustomed to not having that money. So move it from 12% to 14%. So you already, and make it even better if it's with a company that matches your 401k. You already at a winning percentage. So you budget not from your overtime. You get 10 hours at the end of the week. That should not be a part of your budget. A young lady called me this week from Florida, and she was sharing some of her financial debt with me. So when we get to our vehicle, and she start telling me what she paying for, and I start telling her, you need to take that off. You need to take that off. She end up getting $1,000, half of our payment for our vehicle that she waits for 7 months. Miss Cathy, I want you to help some people tonight that they can make financial literacy. Be literate. The opposite to literate is illiterate.
Yes.
Literate meaning you're uninformed or you're ill-informed. So for you to be informed and to become literate, you're on your way to freedom. Many of us have automobile loans. Help us tonight what to look for that we can be in a better position in terms of bargaining, whether past or present.
Okay. Well, first of all, Travis, I want to address a comment from Travis. I agree with you, Travis. Pride is a huge part, and pride is definitely what holds us back from elevating ourselves and getting ahead of the curve, because me as a single mom, again, who of 3, children, sole provider, and someone who didn't come from a financial background, I've had bad credit twice in my lifetime. Okay. So I've overcame that twice. So absolutely, pride is a huge thing, but knowledge is the key to that pride and that power. Like, it's okay to say, you know what, I messed up. Like, I didn't know, nobody taught me. So what? Great. Let's learn now. Like, it's never too late to learn. And I want to tell everyone in here, it's never too late to fix your credit. Like, it's so many steps that you can build. So that's the key to, like, one thing, Pastor, the key, first of all, is because you are in these situations with most of America has bad credit. So you're not in this alone. So that means most of America is prideful, which is unfortunate because most of America is now missing out and most of America is suffering because of pride, guys. So get out your pride and get your credit fixed. You get your credit fixed. It's very easy. And you can always, even if with negative, you can start building positive over negative while we address the negative. You can still start building positive. Any positive is better than no positive, guys. You can still start building positive accounts on top of these negative accounts. And I always explain to consumers like this, okay? Credit is similar to a relationship, okay? It's all about trust, okay? You cheated on me, right? So I'm mad at you, okay? But then I take you back, okay? I take you back. I'm going to give you a chance, okay? It's going to take me a few years to trust you again. Give me a chance to trust you again. And this is exactly how lenders look at you as a consumer who may have once had bad credit, such as myself, okay? I now today have, I'm in the 800s along with all 3 of my children. It is very important as parents that we start our children's credit. We do not let the schools teach them. We do not let others teach them. We don't let the car business teach them. We don't let the mortgage lenders teach them, because that's going to be a bad teaching for them. It's going to be a very bad lesson, okay? So it's our job as parents to make sure that we leverage our children, that we leverage ourselves and our credit, profiles, that we're able to leverage our children. So back to what you're saying as far as how can I save you guys when buying the car, especially now, guys, be careful because, with Trump screaming tariffs, this is a way for dealerships to make money. You want to be very, very careful now. This is a prime time where it may go back to like, okay, price and supply and demand may start, going crazy again. Because if the tariffs go 25% and most of our vehicles are being made and parts in both Canada and Mexico, that's going to be a huge problem. And what's going to happen is the supply is going to stop, right? Again. The demand's going to go up, and then they're going to start doing this over manufacturer pricing again. So you guys want to be very, very careful with that. We do not want to ever pay over manufacturer sales pricing. We don't even want to pay manufacturer sales pricing. We always want to go under that price. So be very careful with that. And a way to understand how this market works is that, number one, the only thing that you need to be going into a dealership to do is to drive the vehicle. You don't need to be negotiating any deals in the dealership. There's no need for that. Okay. You don't need to you won't get the best price. And again, it's no different. No one is giving you, they're like poker. No one's giving you their whole hand like right off the bat. No one's doing that. It's just not. It's not feasible. It doesn't make sense. They're not non-profit organizations. They're not just going to give you the best price just because you say I want the best price.
Nope.
That doesn't work that way, right? You have to educate yourself, and you have to make yourself knowledgeable to know what is the best price even mean. So once you go and test drive the vehicle, you like the vehicle, you then want to go back home and you want to go ahead and you want to do searches. You want to go on all these top automotive platforms, search engines, and you kind of want to put that year, make, and model vehicle in there, and you want to see like what is the market for this vehicle around me and surrounding areas as well. So you kind of want to get that price point, but then you want to make a new email because you do not want them emailing you or calling you because they will never stop. I swear, you'll be so upset with yourself that you will never want to buy a car again in your life if you ever give them your actual email or phone number. So be careful with that. You want to go ahead and make a new email where you can actually organize each quote that you get, and you can use each quote to leverage against the next person, the next dealership, right? So you want to leverage them against each other in order to get to the best price. But you also want to do
Miss Scotty, and help them tonight to understand the difference between the principal and the interest paying on a car.
Absolutely. So that's a very, very important part to understand. So the principal part is, so here's the thing. Whenever you finance a vehicle, banks and lenders always want most of their money up front. Okay. So the best time, honestly, if you're going to be paying more than your minimum payment. So here's how this works. Whenever you have the payment that you get at that time of financing your loan for whatever that interest rate is, times whatever that term of the vehicle is, and you get that monthly payment, you always want to pay that on that monthly payment no matter what. Anything on top of that monthly payment, you want to put at the a bottom part where it's going to say principal only. So it will go into the principal only. What happens is that principal only will then knock down, because interest is only charged on the bottom line. Okay. It's daily accrual on the bottom line. So every time you knock down that bottom line, and the quicker you knock it down in the beginning, the less interest you will pay on total cost, is because it's a total amount that you want to get lower and lower, because they can only charge a percentage of that actual baseline amount. So the more you pay on top of that payment, I don't care if it's $10, $50, that $50, $10, $100 will add up so quick that you'll be like, wow, my payment's going down. And the only reason why it's going down so much is because you're not paying the interest on it. The interest that accrues daily is what's killing you, because it's going to keep on adding on to that principal. And you want to keep that as low as possible. And that's why it is so imperatively important that you leverage your credit profile first and foremost. You cannot get low interest rates with bad credit. I'm sorry, you cannot. I don't care who you are, you cannot. I don't care how much money you have down, you cannot. And it just doesn't make any sense to give all this free money away when it's so simple. It's not hard to fix your credit. I don't care what situation that you're in. It is not hard to fix your credit. It's seriously, it's really not. So I want people to understand that. That's the most important part, because the difference between leveraging, you can only get special financing if you have top credit scores and top credit profiles. You want those rates. The difference between a 3.9% and a 15.99% on a $45,000 loan is $18,000. If you put $18,000 into the stock market for 5 years, you'll have almost $18,000 back, guys. Wow, you really have to learn to stop wasting your money. Stop worrying about, again, like you both said, stop worrying about appearances. Stop, not appearances, but stop worrying about, the luxury lifestyle when we don't make luxury incomes. So if we're not rich, we don't need to be looking like we're rich. That's just a big problem. We need to be living a normal, soft, simple lifestyle until we can leverage ourselves so that we can say that we're rich. Because we do all these things and we cause ourselves more stress, more struggle, more challenges, and then we don't know how to get out of them. And then again, like Travis said, then it becomes this pride thing. So now you're too good to fix your credit, but you're not too good to look like you have good credit or like you have money. So that part never makes sense to me. So I think we really have to change the mindset to all of that.
And Miss Peggy, go back to what Travis says about pride. People are afraid of feeling financial shaming.
Mm-hmm.
They feel of financial shaming, that they have become an underachiever. They have become unsuccessful because it's not the amount of money you make you successful. Many people are on a housetop, on a hilltop, or on a mountain, waving the flag of how much money they make. But come down to understand is how much money you save make you successful. So tonight I want you to just walk us through how we can overcome some of the fight. Number one, itemize one or two of the most financial challenges, and how we can overcome that financial challenges can move us from that place of financial shaming. Because many people thought that really I'm making a lot of money. Really, reality, the truism, yes. But in the integrity of figures that don't lie, there is nothing safe. So you're not successful. So help us tonight, Miss Peggy.
So going back to that pride, and you're a pastor and I'm a minister, right? And so we know that pride is not of God, right? We're supposed to be humble. And so the only person that needs to be impressed with you is you. And so that's where we can start to make those mistakes. So first and foremost, it's not your fault, right? We're playing a game, the game of money, that the bankers and they made the rules to suit them. And we didn't get the education, it's like taking a test you're unprepared to take. So it's not your fault that you're financially illiterate. The game was designed for you and I to be financially illiterate. So now that you know that, the next step is let's take the steps to become financially literate, right? So let's read the books. Let's talk about, that rule of 72, where we talk about how interest works. Kathy talked about how interest could work against you. When you're investing, that interest is working for you. And I never understood that. I didn't know that I can be making money on my money. I knew the banks was making money on my money, but I didn't know that I could make money on my money. I was like, wait, where did I miss that lesson? Right? So take those action steps to start to put yourself in a better financial situation. And, you got to get over the opinions of others. I'll tell you, I'll be very vulnerable with you. When I was married, I only got married once, and I was ashamed because I had a bankruptcy recently before I got married. And I was afraid to tell my significant other that I had a bankruptcy. Guys, I was embarrassed. I was prideful. I felt like I should have known better, right? But the reason why I had a bankruptcy is because I got bad financial advice by someone who had no financial interest in me. And they said, you should go file bankruptcy. And I, like a dummy, went and listened to them. And that bankruptcy stood on my credit report for 7 years. And it ruined like 7 years of me being able to build wealth and get things, as Kathy said, at a decent interest rate. So, all that being said, it's not your fault. You don't have to be embarrassed. You should be proud, but proud of yourself for making steps in the right direction, to get these things fixed. And just understand that you're not alone, right? It's like 70%, 80% of people are sinking or just surviving and struggling out there. So if they're looking at you and judging you, they need to be looking in the mirror, because chances are they're not financially independent. And I'm telling you, like I said, those people that are, I've seen people I know for a fact make multi-million dollars and have multi-million dollars saved, and they wasn't flying first class and they wasn't wearing fur coats. They just walk up on you in regular clothes because they're investing that money, and they know their children's children are going to have that money and they invest in things that appreciate and value, right? Invest in things that are going to appreciate and value in yourself. That's the number one thing you need to invest in. You appreciate and value, right? We're the most valuable thing. That's why you have to, Kathy mentioned earlier, pay yourself first. We are the most valuable thing that we have to ourselves and to our family, because we are the ones that have the ability to go out there and make money, right? And sometimes you need to look at other avenues of making money and multiple streams of income to get yourself rated.
So with that being said, Travis, and that's my brother, by the way. Travis Gomes is my brother. I'm Seon Gregory Gomes Rodney. So that's my big brother. He have a few months over me. But nevertheless, Travis says, great message. I support the conversation. Another dynamic with our finances is our choices in relationship partners struggle. Love and sinking financially is so common. Because you see, money answereth all things. And our next segment gonna be how money have its own voice. Money do speaks. How money have its own emotion. Money has a feeling. How money has its own legs. Money do walk. Money do move. We're going to understand how many time money goes around certain community. I'm not putting anything into the community. You figure that out. But how money goes around certain amount of community, how many times versus different community. So the next time we're going to meet, and that's going to be, I will solicit the last Saturday of the preceding month, we meet again, and we're going to deal with money, have emotion, feeling, and a voice. Because people need to be financially literate. Even myself, I'm not above anyone. I'm still learning. Tonight, I have a lot of takeaways. I am not prideful. I'm not going to tell you I would not feel financially embarrassed. I'm always at that juncture, because you only when you take accountability, then you continue to grow. Failure is not final. My failure financially is not my final. It helped me to understand I'm at a low place. I need to garner some strength, get some strength in my muscles so I can climb from the valley to be on top of the mountain. So with that being said, tonight, I want to thank Miss Penny Begby. Benny B, I want to tell you, she's a great networker. She's a great team player. She had bring it to the community of a lot of people. Only this week, she gave me a great hookup. I want to say thank you. I am so humbled by
You're welcome.
you know, you just keep growing my audience, bringing into your village, into your community, and once again, with no charge. I'll do the same for you. With that being said, if you go alone, you go very fast. If you go with others, Scotty, you go very far. So with that being said, once again, thank you, Miss Peggy Benaby. Thank you, Miss Scotty, for coming and grace us. And I want to tell you, Miss Scotty, if you don't know, FYI, for your information, 5 minutes you're a guest. And after 5 minutes, you're a part of the family, not by adoption, but help you to understand our love language is simple value. And you already felt the value, so now you're a part of the family. So with that being said, every one of our viewers and our supporters, covenant partners, and friends, thank you tonight for being a part of this financial discourse, having Miss Penny Begaby, who is a Smart Money Moves, and Miss Scotty, Smart Automotive Buying. I want you to tell them wherever they can find you on your platform and how they can contact you for furtherance and information.
I am on Instagram, Kathy with the C _ the closer. You can also email me at info@theclosemasters.com. And my webpage is being built up with my landing page is www.theclosemasters.com. I'm actually starting, if anyone's interested, I'm actually starting a 90-day course and mentorship on smart automotive buying and learning how to start your investment portfolios to start investing. The market is down now. It's a great time to start. It's always a great time to invest. I don't ever want anyone to think there's ever a bad time to invest. When you're a long-term investor, there is no bad time to invest. You always need to be investing in yourself because, like Miss Peggy said, the value of compound interest and the power of compound interest is amazing. There's nothing that can compete with it. So definitely lock in. If you ever need any help, you know, me and Peggy are always here to help you. Any questions, don't ever be prideful. You're one step away from future freedom. So
with that being said, Miss Caddy, while Miss Peggy gonna do our way to meet me moment, you can put your contact into the chat by way of texting it, whether Facebook, YouTube, or if you're TikTokerish, I don't know, that they can find you there too. While Miss Peggy gonna do our way to meet me. Miss Peggy.
So you can find me on Instagram. Our financial literacy page is at smart.moneymoves with 2 S's. Or you can just do Peggy_Beneby, Beneby, and you can find my personal page there. I'm also on Facebook, Peggy Dickinson Beneby, and that's Dickinson with an ENSON. You'll probably just see my picture of me and my daughter. It'll come right up. And then on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn page, I don't know that one by heart, but you can look me up, Peggy Beneby, on LinkedIn as well. I have a page there. And I would love to offer some value to everyone. I know I've said this before. Outside of the fact that I do a complimentary financial analysis or a discovery call, complimentary, doesn't cost anything. But I also have a free financial workbook that you can get sent to you via email if you want. So I can post my landing page there where you can just put in your email address and get a free financial workbook, for those people who just want to get started and just want to kind of know what these things are, what is a mutual fund, or what is, dollar cost averaging, whatever it is, right? So you can learn about those things in the workbook. So I want to offer that as some value to my family now, because, we are our family. So hit us up.
So, Miss Peggy, with that being said, continue to post your contact information, what you have in the chat, and also post Miss Scotty's information also, because I think she may have a little difficulty in putting it onto the thread, and a little bit.
Yeah, it's only let me do it in private.
Yes, I have to connect to YouTube.
So
but we can post it on your page, I guess.
Yeah, you know to do that. So with that being said, once again, thank everyone for taking time off your busy schedule. And I know you left with a lot of nuggets. You're about to have this revelation that tomorrow you'll wake up into your future with beginning transformation. Have a great and productive night. Compete with no one else. That compete with yourself to be the best version of who God has called you to be. Enjoy your evening. No one is your competition, but just basically you. Miss Peggy and Miss Scotty, stay in the green room for just 2 seconds, and I will be with you.